Yo, what up, guys? This is Ken. Um, now that I got this cockatrice thing working, we'll be doing some magic tutorials, I guess. I'm not the best magic player in the world, you know. I'm not even like anywhere near the best player in the world. I'm probably one of the worst players of all time in the game of Magic. But I'm gonna go ahead and do some tutorials and give you an understanding of these standard decks that I build or that are being popularly played or whatnot, and how the decks work and whatnot. So today we're gonna go through mono black control. Um, this list that I'm gonna show you, I found this online, but I've been playing a similar list for a very long time. Messed with trading posts, messed with a bunch of stuff, but came across this list, and I just decided to stick with this list and test it for a while. So we'll go through a little the card choices that we got here. So mono black control. Reason why I want to play mono black control is because mutilate. Minus all creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn for each swamp you control. Sorcery for 4 mana. I think that card is super sick. I think Black Sun Zenith is pretty good, but I think Mutilate just in most instances is just too good. Even if you play a 2-color deck, maybe even a 3-color deck, a Mutilate that gets you a -3/-3 or -4/-4 is still pretty good. And it's better at 4 mana. That's still better than Black Suns. So I like Mutilate. I think it's crazy. I think Sign in Blood, which is also a good addition to M13. I think that's a really good card. Much needed card draw. So yeah, I basically want to make a deck that revolves around those, and black just seems to have the best colors. And it's like they say, once you go black, you just can't go back. So that's what we're doing here. I'm running 4 of the Spies. That's because I anticipate aggro-heavy matchups and some creatures that give too much inherent card advantage. For instance, I hate Strangleroot Geist. I hate Doom Traveler. I hate Blade Splicer. Geist of Saint Traft. Though these kinds of cards are like really early drops that just do a lot of damage, for any control matchup, because they 2-for-1 you. If a Strangleroot Geist hits the table, unless you're running Pillar of Flame or Mana Leak or something, it's gonna cost you 2 cards. So because they're aggro heavy, I do like having Despise. It's a nice proactive prevention solution to those cards. We have a removal suite, and this is black, so the other thing it grabs is Planeswalkers, which is great. I do feel Duress is a better card than Despise, because Duress grabs everything that Despise can't, that Despise doesn't do. Despise doesn't grab artifacts, doesn't grab trading posts, doesn't grab enchantments, doesn't grab counter spells, doesn't force counter spells, and Duress does that. So I do think Duress is a better card, especially because we have so much removal. Despise is not necessary, but for game ones, if you expect an aggro matchup, I think it's a decent card, and I'm running a 4 of just to test the card. Want more experience with it, so that's why it's here. 4 Despise. We have 1 Sever the Bloodline. It's part of my removal suite. Take care of that pesky Wormcoil engine, or if people overextend and they pop out a bunch of Lingering Spirit tokens or whatever. It's just a nice card to have. And it has flashback, and chances are you're going to have the 7 mana for this late game, so it's a decent card. I like it. It's okay. Sign in Blood, I put 4 of these in here. There's 1 Sever the Bloodline here, guys. But Sign in Blood, we got 4. Mono black control needs card draw. You have no other extra draw. Another option was Disciple of Bolas, but I don't have that great of a creature base, so just going with Sign in Blood. Typically, there is no other turn 2 play besides Sign in Blood. So, that's the card. I got 4 of them. I guess you could go with Doomblade or whatever kind of removal you have early, but chances are you rather fill that hand up, fix your mana base, So 4 Sign in Blood. and 4 Mutilate, like I discussed earlier. Planeswalkers, I'm running 2 Sorins and 1 Karn. Probably 2 Karns and 1 Sorin is probably a better list, or even maybe just 2 Karns. Maybe Sorin's not necessary. I do like Sorin mono black. We can fit this mana. It's not crazy. We can have a turn 6 Sorin or even turn 5 Sorin out, like, realistically. So probability is pretty high. What he does do is, if left unchecked, not only does he answer creatures and help, alleviate any early aggro and life lost. There's not with this particular deck, but I guess it's possible. You can just, if a guy's at 40 life, you put him at 10, and if you can swing for lethal, if you can swing for 10 damage, the next turn you'll win. With Sorin's Vengeance. I don't run Sorin's Vengeance in the deck. That's another reason why I think maybe Sorin Markov just doesn't fit. He's got the nice Mindslaver ability, but it's not the greatest. Karn, on the other hand, is crazy. Karn does everything that black wishes it could do when things hit the board. Exile Ratchet Bombs, exile enchantments, exile cards in the player's hand. Whatever you want. It's a great card. Definitely need to play more of those. I'm going with 24 land. I think 24 is a good amount. I mean, you'll probably be mana flooded a lot of times, but I think you need it. I think you need to make sure you always hit your land drops with a deck like this, because it does curve a little high, even with the ramp. So 24 lands, that's what we're going for. Instance, we got 3 Go for the Throat and 1 Tragic Slip. I expect a lot of people to be playing black, whether it be Grixis or blue-black or mono-black trading posts or just mirror matches. I think you can see a lot of black, so Go for the Throat is nice. What it doesn't deal with are things like Blade Splicer, Wormcoil Engine, and that's why it's nice to have Despise to make sure you get rid of that pesky Blade Splicer. And Mutilate just cleans up everything else that's out there. I don't really feel like there's a lot of artifact kind of threats, but definitely in the mirror there are big threats like Phyrexian Obliterator, Lashwrithe, other germ tokens. They need to be answered. So I'm going with 3 Go for the Throats. 1 Tragic Slip. I don't know if 1 is the right number, if it should be 2 Go for the Throats, 2 Tragic Slips or whatnot. But Tragic Slip is nice to pull in the opening hand. Kills a bunch of 1-drops. But I typically use it as a late game. You hold that and try to go for a 2 creature kill and then run off the Morbid on Tragic Slip to kill a much bigger threat. Got 2 Curse of Death's Hold in the main board. I think if you're playing black and you're playing control and you're heavy on black, then you should be playing this. -1 against all creatures is a big deal. Handles a lot of stuff. It's not perfect in all the matchups, but it's very, very, very good against things like Moorland Haunt, tokens. Even if it's just to offset damage from something like a Crusade effect, like Honor of the Pure or Intangible Virtue. So, I like that card. The creature base, we got 3 Solemn Simulacrums. Solemn's great, especially for a deck like this, because it gives you that early blocker, puts you up 1 land, and draws you a card, which black sorely needs. I go with 3. This is not something I want to see late game when I've already stabilized my mana base. In particular, I don't really want to see them, but I do want to pull them enough that I'm casting them to reach my 6 or 7 mana that I want to make the deck fully function. We got 2 Grave Titans and a Massacre Worm as win cons. What's going on right here? Got a phone ringing. Sorry about that. We got that phone ringing. My bad. So back to the win package. Our win cons. We got 3 big dudes here. We got Massacre Worm and 2 Grave Titans. Massacre Worm's great. Maybe 2 Massacre Worms instead of Grave Titan. I actually really like Grave Titan, so I went with this package. Massacre Worm's awesome. If creatures are able to survive a mutilated board or whatnot and come out with some small dudes, or try to rebuild their board after you've wiped it clean, Massacre Worm is a big drop. Really just sets them back a lot. Does changes the tempo in your favor. It's a great card. But it's one of those metagame choices. So I'm not totally sold on him. He's decent. Grave Titan, one of the best black finishers out there. This is essentially 10 damage if it is left unchecked. So has good synergy with something like Soren Markov. Go for a turn 5, turn 6 Grave Titan into Soren. If the board's clear, that's a win. Not always guaranteed, but it's there. Pristine Talisman, I think it was very strong. Not only as a card to ramp you one colorless, but the life gain is a big deal. Especially because of undying creatures, like I was saying, like Strangleroot guys, maybe not Geralt necessarily, but even if it's just like Doom Traveler, while you don't really have a solution to get rid of those and lose the card advantage, you can slow the tempo down. Gaining 1 life is really a big deal every turn. The card is exceptionally good, and you should playtest with it to see how good it is, because if there's a turn where you're not attacked and you're gaining 1 or 2 life, that's a big deal. You've like basically time walked on your opponent. You've erased one of their attacks. You've gone a turn back basically in terms of life. So I like the card. Batterskull's good against control. Somewhat against aggro, comes out faster than your other win cons, but it's recurable, and that's a nice thing to have, especially with limited threats, which I believe this deck has limited threats. It's nice to be able to just play this with a bunch of mana, so I like it. Staff of Nin, kind of play testing this card. It's always been good to me. Clearly, obviously, if you can't deal more than 1 damage to a creature, or if you can't kill a creature with that 1 damage from the staff, it isn't the greatest thing, but you could always ping a player, and it's always giving you card advantage every turn, and it just stays there. It's like a Howling Mine just for you. So I like it a lot. And then we got 2 Grafdigger's Cage in the main board, just to be skewed towards our metagame. So I expect a lot of zombies, I expect a lot of pod, birthing pod. I expect a lot of people to take advantage of the graveyards, like Frights. So I play 2 in the main, because I expect a lot of it. Also, it eats up the Undying mechanic, which really bothers me. I'm fucking greatly bothered by this, so 2 Grafdiggers in the main. For my sideboard, this is you should always make your sideboard based on your metagames. I put another Grafdiggers, because it's just a great card. I'm worried about Wolf Run. The new blue Wolf Run. It's a problem to me. I think one of the things is, Wolf Run decks just have too many bombs, so once a card like Primeval lands, like even if you just remove it, it's already made its advantage because of the lands that it gets, or if a Frost Titan lands and taps your things. That's why I like 2 Torpor Orbs. Of course, when you side these in, you probably side out 2 Solemns. I don't know if that's the right amount. It seems alright right now. Another Curse of Death's Hold. Just if it's a real creature, weenie heavy kind of deck, I kind of want to make sure that I pull into these. Surgical Extraction for the mirror, and for decks that rely heavily on 1 card, for instance, Sun Titan from Solar Flare, or Trading Post, maybe Wormcoil. Trading Post, let's use Wormcoil. Whatever. It's very useful card, and it helps you get, or even just a surgical on your opponent, or in the mirror, or whatever the mirror match might be. Sever the Blood, or Sign in Bloods, Mutilates, who knows, right? On Memoricide, I put this into the main board almost every game. The card is sick. It's still powerful. Might as well use it till it runs out of rotation. This card has won me a lot of games. Like I said, Duress I usually feel is a stronger card, so against decks that aren't mindless and just put down a creature and attack, I side in Duress. Even if it's like Delver, I'd rather have Duress, get rid of the artifacts like the swords in the game 2 and 3, counter spells, whatever. Duress is a good card. Increasing Ambitions just for the control matchup, and it's a house. It's a great card. You're going to have the mana to cast this, and it's going to get you the exact threat you want. Great card. Mind Rot, this is something new that I'm testing. Testing it primarily for mid-range rampy kind of decks, like Wolf Run, decks that really like just lay out a bunch of stuff early and then plays bomb after bomb. I really like to kill tempo, and a turn 3 Mind Rot on the draw, or even a turn 4 Mind Rot is backbreaking for a lot of decks because they don't expect maybe they expected the spies or whatever, but they're not necessarily expecting to lose 2 cards on any given turn. And if they're holding 2 or 3 cards, it's a big deal. So I like it. So that's the first video, and after this we will be talking about we'll just go straight to playing the game. Alright.